Okay, in today's setup guide, I'm going to be showing you how to get up and running with MAME Arcade on Attract mode. So in this setup guide, I'm going to be showing you how to obviously set this up. I'm going to be showing you how to include preview videos for your games in Attract mode with your main ROM set. I'm going to be showing you how to customize the layout, as you can see on screen right here. I'm also going to be showing you how to use MAME itself and configure its input settings and video settings. So a lot of information in this guide for Attract mode users and newcomers to Attract mode. This is a total quintessential, so check this one out. Okay, so before I start today's Attract mode and MAME setup guide for Windows PC, if you like what you see today, hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss upcoming retro emulation content that I upload on my channel, Just Jamie, every day. That just means you'll get notified every time I release a new setup guide like this one today, and it also helps my channel out a lot. So I've slowly been uploading a Attract mode setup guide. So I started off with beginner's guides the other day, which is about a half-an-hour video, and I did say in that video that I'd go on to make new setup guides based around Attract mode. So we're looking at MAME today, and it's quite a simple setup guide. What we're going to do first is grab some artwork. Now I find that some users, and including myself, the scraper system through Attract mode isn't that reliable. So sometimes you can go to scrape games from the games database and it just isn't that good. Sometimes it doesn't scrape any artwork at all. So I recommend going over to MU Movies, signing up for this. Just go to downloads, and under the downloads category, we can actually get arcade media just here. So for example, if I go to arcade media, I can then just find the type of box artwork or artwork in general that I want, or even preview videos. So definitely worth looking through this to get your artwork. Next up, we're going to want the MAME emulator itself. So I'm going to just download MAME 0264B. And I'm using a fresh install of Attract mode for this setup guide, and I've got it in my new folder just here. Now I've got emulators folder here, and there's nothing inside it. So I'm going to just grab my download of MAME, and within this emulators folder, I'm going to create a new folder and call this one MAME. And I'm going to drag and drop MAME inside of here. This is the emulator I've just downloaded, and just extract this. I'm using WinRAR. Extract here, and this is going to start extracting lots of subfolders, that type of thing. And in particular, we've got a folder here called ROMs. Now what I'd recommend doing is just dragging and dropping your MAME collection or your main ROM set into this directory just here. And while this is copying across into that main ROMs folder, what I'm going to do is just go back out of here, and I've got a layouts folder here too, and this comes as standard when you download Attract mode. And in here I've just dragged and dropped my Novato layout. It's a theme. So if you check out my beginner's guide, there's a link for this particular theme or layout in the description of that video. So what I'm going to do then is open up Attract mode, so attract.exe. And first of all, we're going to need to press tab in order to get to the configure menu. If I just press page up on my keyboard, go to emulators, add emulator by pressing enter, and I'm going to call this MAME, and then press enter. I'm going to press enter on default. Now we got executable just here, so this is where we need to link up the main.exe. So what I'm going to do is press Windows key to come out of here. And if I go back into my Attract mode directory, we're going to go into the emulators folder, MAME folder, and from here I'm going to find main.exe. If I right click on this one and copy as path, so left click, go back into Attract mode and press enter on executable. If I then press Ctrl V to paste that in place, and just take away the quotation marks on both sides of this, on the left and right, press enter. Next up, what I'm going to do is link this to where my games are located. So I'm just copying these into my MAME ROM folder, So what I'm going to do is press enter here and backspace, just press enter again. It's still copying across, but we can still add the path for this. So press Windows key again, and we're going to go back into the attract mode directory. And here's my ROMs folder where the games are now copying. In the search bar at the top, I'm going to just left click on that and right click copy. Go back to attract mode and press enter on ROM paths and Control and V to paste and enter to come out, and that's now put into place. Now under ROM extensions, you're likely just want to keep this as .zip, as most games for MAME arcade games are .zips. System identifier, I'm going to press enter on this and type in arcade and press enter. Now I'm not going to bother with scraping this today. We have got the option to do this, but I do find it's very unreliable using these scraping systems through attract mode. So what I'm going to do for now is just come out of here, and I'm also going to go to displays because we need this displayed. So we've done the back side of this as it were, and now we need to display it in attract mode. So add new display, press enter. Display name, I'm going to call this MAME and enter. Now if I just go up to layout and press enter on this, like I was saying, I've got Novato layout, and if I press down or up or page down, we can change the layouts of this. So here's my Novato, press enter. And if I then go down to layout options, I'm going to get into this in a minute, but this is how we can change the artwork, that type of thing within the attract mode. What I'm going to do is just back out there, back out again. Here's everything set up, but obviously we've got no artwork or anything else in place at the moment. So if I press escape, exit attract mode. Now what I'm going to do is back in my attract mode directory, I'm going to find the emulators folder here, and we got a main.cfg file. If I open this up with Notepad, and just here, you're going to find that we can edit this and add our own directories. For example, I've got artwork for Marquee and Snaps, but these are in the wrong directories. So what I need to do is, by using EmuMovies, which I recommended doing just a minute ago on the website, I've got some artwork just here. So what I'm going to do is match this up. So first of all, what I'm going to do is add Marquee. I've got a Marquee folder here, and obviously this is all .pngs from EmuMovies. If I left click in the search bar at the top and right click to copy that, back over on this Notepad document, I'm going to press Ctrl and V, and as you can see, that's now put that directory into place. And we've also got Snap just here. So again, if I delete this because that's the wrong location, press enter. And just like Marquee, if I go back to my artwork folder, I've got a Snap directory here. And I'm going to left click again and right click at the top, copy, and Control V to paste that in. And I've also got wheel art. So again, back into my main artwork directory, here's my wheel folder. If I left click again on the search bar at the top, right click, copy, and again just copy or paste that location here. Now I need to go to file after I set these directories and save. If I then close this down and go back into attract mode. Okay, so once we're back inside of attract mode, if I press tab, this is going to bring up configure again, and from configure, if I just go to emulators, this time I'm going to go down to generate collection ROM list. If I press enter on this, MAME, I'm going to press enter on this and press page up, press enter, and then generate collection ROM list. If I press enter on this, enter ROM list name, MAME, so enter, and come out, back. Now as you can see, for me this is now displayed. If it's not displayed for you, if you press on tab, just go to emulators and back to your MAME, and just make sure that your artwork just here is how I did it just a minute ago within that text document. So as it stands, we got the wheel working, we've also got the marquee at the top of the arcade machine in place, and we've got snaps so we can see what the game looks like. Now you're going to see blank spaces from time to time because if your game file doesn't match your image file, then it's going to give you a blank space. So the majority of the games for me here are working with wheel and artwork as well as a marquee. If I press on the tab button again and go up to displays and down to layout options, and I can change how, say for example, the wheel looks. So if I go to spin wheel artwork, it's currently set to wheel. If I press enter on this, I can then select marquee, press enter, and if I come out by pressing escape, you'll see then that the wheel has now changed to marquee, so it matches the top of the arcade display as well. And back into tab again, displays, MAME, layout options. Now we got a display, which are snaps on that arcade display just there within attract mode. If we go to scan lights on screen, it's currently on light. If I put this to dark and press enter and it escapes come out, you'll see then that we got scan lines as well. And we can even change the marquee at the top of the arcade. The marquee artwork is currently set to marquee. I can put this emulator name or my own. If I select emulator name and press enter and come out by pressing escape, it's now got a generic arcade marquee. So it looks a little bit different than the artwork on the wheel we got just here. Okay, so say you've got some video previews for your main games. The easiest way to do this, for beginners that is if we just go back into the attract modes directory, emulators, name.cfg, and just open this up again with Notepad. Now you're going to find snap just here, and this is where we put the screenshot images of our games. What I'm going to do is just delete this directory just here, press enter, just bring that into place. And this time for this, I've got some preview videos for my games which I've downloaded from Movies, and these are going to be in my main folder. And here they are. So again, what I need to do is copy that directory by left clicking on the search bar at the top, copy. And if I then go back to that document and Control and V just to paste those into place, I'm going to go to File, Save, and if I then open up Attract mode again, like I say, not all of those preview videos or images are going to work because they need to be precisely named as the same as your game files. But that's just going to be simply the case of looking for the correct artwork packs which go with your main ROM set. So for this setup guide, I've just literally randomly found some videos to go with this. But if you're a dedicated Attract Modes fan, then you can find the exact files that you need so everything matches up. Now just remember, we can also open up MAME outside of Attract Mode. So to do this, and just bear in mind, we've also got our ROMs in the correct folder for MAME itself, so we can use this as a standalone, is we're just going to go into the Attract Modes folder, Emulators, MAME, and we can actually open up MAME directly from here. Like I just said, we've already got our games in place just here. Now, if you're using an older main ROM set, just remember that you've got a samples folder just here, and your sample folder will go inside of this one here. But to open up MAME itself outside of Attract Mode, we're just going to go to mame.exe, and you can actually play your games direct from here. So like I say, not necessarily a case of just always playing it through Attract Mode. I've got a controller configured with this, and all I've done is just literally Bluetoothed it across, and I've not need to configure my controller settings to use with MAME for this. And if I select on the left hand panel here, available, that's going to just list all the games available to me. What we need to do then is just go to available, and that's just going to list the games which you've literally got to play, so it's absolutely compatible with your main ROM set, whatever you're using. We also got a working tab just here, so some MAME games aren't playable. If we go to not working, that's going to list the games which aren't going to be working properly. So let's just go back to available for now. So I'm going to open up one of my favorite games. This is going to be 1944, the Loot Master. And just like inside of attract mode, if you press the tab button on your keyboard, this is going to bring up the menu for MAME. And from here, we can play around with input settings in case your controller isn't working. And just press escape to come out there. Like I say, whilst we're inside of MAME playing a game, if you press the tab button on your controller, that's going to bring you up individual settings for each game. Say for example, you wanted to configure a particular mapping on your controller for that particular game, you can do all that by pressing the tab button. And also within MAME itself, we got settings options just here. And just remember that attract mode is just a front end. What that means is going to give you the glossy side, but your actual innings of playing MAME games, all your settings is going to be done through the MAME standalone like we got here. So we got general settings, and just here we can customize the user interface, which isn't necessarily something we want to do because the interface is actually going to be used through attract mode. But we got video options here, and we can play around with triple buffering, bilinear filtering, and we can even look at changing aspect ratio. So some arcade games were designed for vertical screens. So if you're playing one of those games, a very old school game, probably late 70s, that type of era, if you find the aspect ratio isn't correct, then you can also go to video options like I've done here. And just remember in MAME to save your settings. So in terms of input settings, under general settings in MAME, we got input device options. Just here, you could even set out your configurations for, say, a light gun. So say you're playing something like Alien, The Gun, or Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Obviously, traditionally, in the arcades back in the day, those would be used with a light gun. So you can actually set all this up here, as well as trackball settings for games like Marble Madness. And if I press escape to come out of here, and go down to input assignments, player 1 controls, I can map out my controller just here. So by double left clicking on, say, player 1 up, if I then press D-pad up, it's then going to map it out to my Xbox controller, and the same for down and so on. Just remember that you're emulating an arcade machine, so you're going to need to map out the coin button as well. And whilst we're under input assignments, for those light gun games or trackball games, you can also map out things from here as well. And remember, just press escape to come out of here, and escape again. And always remember to save settings, otherwise MAME doesn't remember too much. Little bit like my ex-partner, she doesn't seem to remember too much. So we're going to go to save settings, and everything's now set up. And if I then go back into attract mode, open up this game, and like I say, just press tab button and you're going to get those MAME options. And that's it for today's attract mode and MAME setup guide. So a lot of information in there, but if you know what you're doing with attract mode, it will come natural over time. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain, but persevere with it, just like my main beginner's guide the other day. A lot of information to take on, but you'll get MAME arcade games up and running just fine. Anyways, if you liked today's video, hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss upcoming retro emulation content. Also join me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. But until next time, stay retro.